Hey everybody, Aletha here coming to you with another Conscious Mindset chat. Today's guest is Jaya Jones, and she does one of my favorite yoga. She is a Kundalini teacher and a spiritual mentor. All in one. Just right up my alley, right? When we say we have to surround ourselves with our tribe, well, I think Jaya is naturally one of my tribe because she's floated in that area of being a spiritual mentor. She facilitates workshops, Kundalini yoga immersions, and has led over you've led over 40 or so classes on a 40-day practice to change unhealthy subconscious patterns. We're going to dive into that. She's also a dedicated student of A Course in Miracles, and we're going to dive into that. And love mystical transit traditions. And so what is mystical traditions? That's going to be probably something that we will have to explain to you. But Jaya has a background in counseling and social work. So she is very conscious about trauma-informed care. And so in our 30 years of service, she is already you're just zooming on the top of the surface of how we need to heal. But she's done over 30 years of service in High Vibration Academy, and her goal is to empower individuals and groups to raise the collective vibration of the planet. So this month's series is talking about what part can you take in raising the vibration of the new earth. And so without further ado, please welcome Jaya Jones. Hi, Jaya. How are you?
Hi, Aletha. So beautiful to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Now, Jaya is on the other side of where I am. You're in Brisbane, Australia, right?
Yes, actually, in the Noosa hinterland, which is about 2 hours north of Brisbane on the Sunshine Coast. So there's forest, there's lots of trees, there's open spaces, there's the beach that's close. It's a really beautiful part of the world.
What is your story that brought you to that spiritual awakening?
Yeah, thank you, Aletha. It's a great question and so relevant to what gets us started on the path. I was really blessed to have a mother that supported me to meditate from an age of about 16 years old. And I always had that interest in meditation. And then by the time I was 22 years old, I'd hit rock bottom and just backtracking there, my mother supported me to do meditation because I was quite a rebellious teenager and was drinking and smoking a lot of pot, and it was not a great time. So by the time I was 22, I had a 2-year-old daughter, and the drinking and the smoking weed and the wild lifestyle, it hadn't changed. It actually had gotten worse, and I was a mother by then. Right. And my daughter was suffering and my mother was really stressed, and I had really crappy friends and was having sex with lots of men, and it was not a great thing. But deep down I felt that I knew I needed to be a good mum. And what actually happened, well, the game changer was I got really sick with chronic fatigue syndrome. I was a single mum. I had this 2-year-old daughter, and I was sleeping around about 16 hours a day. And it was not good when you're trying to look after a child. I also had depression as well, and anxiety. And it wasn't great. I needed to change.
Yeah.
And so I remembered the feeling that I would get when I was meditating. And so I started to do spiritual shopping. So this was in 1993, no internet. There was a library and there was a spiritualist church. Right. So I went spiritual shopping. There was an amazing spiritual magazine called Nexus. I don't know if that's global, but it's been around in Australia for a long time. It's like a new age magazine. So I was reading about chakras, and I would record how the different chakras and how I can balance those. there was no podcast back in those days. I was reading. And then there was different Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons that would knock on your door, as they did in those days. You know, there'd usually be about one a week, every couple of weeks, somebody knocking on your door to offer you some information. Well, I invited them in. I invited the Jehovah's in. I invited the Mormons in. I started going to a Baptist church, a local Baptist church, for 6 months. I was going to Bible study because I thought that a spiritual way was the answer. And I didn't know anything about many other spiritualities. So I thought the usual Orthodox Christian way is the way to go for me to get my act together and be a good mum, get off the drugs, get off the drink, and reduce my mental health issues. And that felt great for a while. I cruised along with the Christianity, and then I started questioning a few things after about 6 months, and I felt the Christianity was a great stepping stone. There were some things that didn't feel quite right, that there were some gaps in it. So I started searching again and came across the most amazing teaching, one of the most amazing teachings that I've ever been in contact with, and that is A Course in Miracles. And from right then, the search was over. A Course in Miracles was my foundational spirituality, starting all that time ago, 30 years ago, like 1993. Oh my goodness. So the Course was where it all started for me. And Louise Hay was where it all started, and also Wayne Dyer. I was consuming their books. They had some cassette tapes. I was listening to quite a few of their cassette tapes at the time. So within a few months, because I was so determined to get well, I turned my life around within about a 3-month period. I had no friends for quite a period of time, but that was okay. And I changed my diet, I changed my lifestyle, I changed my mind, and then my life changed. I was doing the affirmations in the Louise Hay You Can Heal Your Life book. I was doing them in the mirror. I was writing them out, pages every day, these affirmations. I am a wonderful and loving mother. My life flows perfectly. All those sorts of affirmations were really helpful for me to change this old self-sabotaging pattern of drinking and drugging and having terrible friends that weren't in alignment with my greater good.
Yeah. So at some point before you started doing the search for using religion as a initial path, before that, did you have an inner knowing that, you know, an awareness of what's going on in your body, and that you needed to be around that kind of lifestyle so that you can feel supported, or so that you can have a connection? Or what was that inner knowing that came before you started saying, you know what, this no longer serves me?
Yeah, it was my values. And when it comes down to it, the inner knowing was my integrity. I feel that my integrity is my inner guidance system. It's the center. And if something is not in alignment with my values and in that integrity, I'm not happy. So I came back to that center within of my values and that integrity. And that was what helped me to move forward with a healthier lifestyle.
So aligning yourself with your values, having that inner knowing that says, oh, I'm not aligned, I need to change. And then change occurs because of you showing up for yourself every day towards the change.
Yeah. And because
Well, go ahead.
I had my 2-year-old daughter. Like, that is such an impetus for me to get my life together at that stage.
Right. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit more about the Course of Miracles. You say you've been doing this for over 30 years and applying the message that and the techniques that came from that. What is the framework of the Course of Miracles?
Yeah, yeah. So the message of the course is forgiveness.
Mm,
But it's not the forgiveness that we've been taught and we've been conditioned to believe. It's the forgiveness, and I'll use the analogy of a mindfulness analogy. And mindfulness is another great tool that's helped me throughout the years to make sense of the course, because the Course in Miracles is quite dense and it's very Christian in its language, but actually in its content, it's quite Buddhist and very mystical. It's really a mystical Christianity, A Course in Miracles. So the message of forgiveness is like, I'll use the metaphor of where our true self, beyond the body, beyond time and space, beyond birth and death, our true self that is eternal is like the sky. It's our sky-like nature. And then on a soul level, we've chosen to have an experience of our bodies and the world and each other and everything that goes on here in in that life between birth and death. And all that goes on between birth and death is like the changing weather patterns. And so the sky, our true self, holds the space for all those changing weather patterns, all the ups and downs, all the rounds and rounds of life. And the Course in Miracles encourages you to identify with who you really are. And when you identify with your sky-like nature, your true self that doesn't die, that doesn't change, the unborn, there's more space. There's more capacity to hold space for all those changing weather patterns of your life. And so more and more that space is the forgiveness, and more as time goes on, it's like a slow evolving training program, A Course in Miracles. Some people awaken really quickly with it, but for most of it, it's a slow progress with it, because a lot of us need to be unconditioned from our typical beliefs of what we think the world really is and who we really are.
Yeah, it's almost like there's an attachment. Listening to you, it sounds as if we are born with an attachment. First of all, attachment to mom and dad, but then attachment to society and what society tells us to do, and attachment to the way the culture tells us to do. So we are born with this automatic attachment, but the soul itself is saying, well, how am I going to align myself with being attached, but also being aligned with who I feel like I need to be? And so does that sound like what I'm hearing?
Yeah, yeah, you're right on track with that, Aletha, where it's where you're not so identified with your body and the world, and you become more, and in that space, in that forgiveness space, there's a greater capacity to be more responsive rather than reactive. And you can take a step back from the mind, like that. You still have the feelings, you still have the emotions. And I've found that on the spiritual journey, I've actually become more sensitive. Of course, we're fine-tuning our vibration so highly as we move forward, as we become so passionate about the work. That you're not so identified with all those changing weather patterns in your life.
I love the way you use weather patterns, because in my version, I use shifts, energy shifts. Becoming mindful every day of the shifts that shows up.
Yeah.
What is it, and why is it pulling your focus to that, right? So what is pulling my focus? What shift is pulling my focus? And what is the lesson that's in that shift? So
Yeah.
instead of just going on automatic, what lesson can I learn from this shift?
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, great question to ask, because when you ask, what is the lesson that's coming from this energetic shift or coming from the feeling triggered, that's a growth edge. And then the triggers globally as well as personally and in our relationships, then there's purpose in those triggers. They're not just, oh my goodness, go away, get rid of that, avoid the triggers. I just want to be happy, go away. There's an integration that happens within your own heart when you can see that the triggers, these growth edges, that they have a purpose. The so-called shadow is an opportunity for purpose. And there's an alchemy in that. And an alchemist, like I see myself as an alchemist as well, and I love supporting others to move towards that integration, that alchemy. An alchemist has the ability to turn heavy lead-like situations into golden opportunities for awakening and for service and for unlearning and learning and growth, so that we can have a better life, that we can be happier, that we can feel loving towards ourselves and others.
So if we were to trace, this process like an oil going through a pipe, going eventually to the engine that it needs to fuel, right? We come to this realization that our values are not in alignment with the way we're going about life. We realize that we've attached ourselves to certain people, places, and things. We say, okay, how am I going to change? And all of a sudden you ask the universe that question, and the universe starts bringing things and people into your life to help you realize and answer that question. So here you are in the middle of the pipe, and you realize, I need to change. And now I'm going to do the work, and I've changed. So you have this love and respect for self that shows up. And self says, oh, I'm not alone. I feel my energy moving. So if my energy is moving, where's it going? And now we come to this wider perspective and concept that we are not one, but we are a collective. So in this perspective, we talked in private about the new earth, right? And so in what I'm talking about, and where I feel like we are, once we've awakened and done the work, we are now more open and susceptible to saying we need to change the world and connect with the collective. So what is your perspective of that realization that now there's a new earth, there's a new concept that I need to align with, but not attach, because attachment has its negative, but what align with, come in tune with? What is your version? What is your perspective of that?
So yeah, just circling back to A Course in Miracles and how that is that, and with the new earth vibration that we're all being called to move into, that A Course in Miracles would say that all our bodies and all this form, the physical plane, is a part of the separated mind. It's separation. And a result of our current world dilemma is separation. We believe we're separate from ourselves and each other. And then we attack ourselves and each other. We're very often, most of us are very self-critical. And that's a whole journey in itself, the self-love. And then that projects out onto our loved ones and the world, and the social dilemmas, the wars, the viruses are a reflection of that. And so the new earth calls us, and then the separation, we think we are from the earth. We've attacked the earth. We've poisoned it.
Mm-hmm.
So the new earth vibration, the new earth calls us to recognize that we are not separate, that
Right.
we are in this together.
Yeah.
And then there's a greater capacity to want to extend, to want to be of service, to want to help others, to be more kind and loving to ourselves with our thoughts, with our actions. We'll have healthier and happier relationships. We'll be able to get on as a species. We'll be able to then, that will be mirrored in the earth. We'll be able to have practices that support the world, the planet, the earth to regenerate and grow. And there won't be so much attack. There will be sacred economies based on gift giving, as well as the current economy. But there is greater economies. The new earth calls for us to be more expansive in our awareness and our perspective, that there is another way. There's so many other ways that we can go about.
I think COVID was a prime example of a virus that affected the entire world and made us realize, oh, we've been thinking we're separate. Oh, you want to be separate? Let's make you separate so you can really feel and understand what separation looks like. And then you realize, oh, I do need that connection. I do need that support. I do need to be around the music and the people. So that's what we're talking about, folks, when we talk about the new earth, is the environment itself said we were not in alignment with it. So let's show you how to be aligned. And it's kind of similar when we do other methods of therapy, like I'm experienced with equine facilitated therapy. When you go to the horse doesn't want to be around you if you're in your head. If you're not present and you're just in your head and you're not even aware to be even safe because you're mulling over something that may have triggered you or something that may have bothered you, the horse says, in order to come into where I am, that peace, and understand the secret of what I'm going to teach you, you have to shift and go back in alignment with what the earth is saying. Peace is resonance, and resonance comes from being present. Right? So in the new earth concept, we're talking about vibration now. We're talking about energy. And so for you as a Kundalini instructor, how do you help your clients become more aware of their vibration and their energy and how to manipulate their energy to even become more sensitive to the need to completely start aligning with the resonance of the new earth? That's a big question, right?
Yeah, we can unpack that here.
Yeah.
And I think just coming back a little bit, it's not necessarily about, like, Kundalini, simply, I'll share with you what it is to start with. Kundalini, it's been misperceived a lot throughout the years, but Kundalini energy, it's simply our life force energy. It's really simple. And there's so many things that can activate your life force energy. So many things, like being with a loved one, swimming in the ocean, being in nature, eating wholesome, healthy food that's really helping you to vibrate.
Cheetos.
Yeah.
That's a standing joke for me. Cheetos is my weakness.
Cool. But Kundalini yoga, it is to support us to activate that energy. So it's not necessarily a manipulation of the Kundalini energy. It's actually working with your natural life force energy so that you can vibrate at a higher frequency, at a higher level. So that you don't get so reactive and you don't get so stuck in mental constructs. And so it's the Kundalini energy with the yoga Kundalini yoga, that it so supports our mental health and our nervous system. It helps us to balance our mood. It helps you to be more responsive instead of reactive. It coincides and works in with the immune system. So it helps you to strengthen your immune system at the same time, because the Kundalini and the support your life force, when it's strong, it'll be supportive of your nervous system, and it'll coincide and support you with your good disease resistance, good immunity, so that you can be healthy and you're not getting sick as much. We're likely to get more sick when, like with COVID, that if our life force is weak. So Kundalini, it's an ancient practice, Kundalini yoga. And the teacher that brought it to the West in the 1960s, Yogi Bhajan, brought it because he knew that we were coming into a time of huge planetary upheaval. And it's ancient practices. Some of the practices in Kundalini yoga are thousands of years old. And the teacher that brought it to the West, he went against what his teachers told him, that it was a secret business. That Yogi Bhajan, he knew that he had to bring it to the West to support the whole of humanity during this time that we're in. So Kundalini yoga is made for these times to support our disease resistance, to help us stay happy and healthy, and to support us with our mental health, because things are pretty up and down at the moment.
Right. That's beautiful. So how long is a typical recommendation for one to practice? How many days? How many time-wise? What is that recommendation?
Well, I love Kundalini yoga, and I've been teaching for 9 years, and I practice every morning.
Wow. For how long?
Well, if I've got lots of time in the morning, I could practice for 2 hours. But most of us don't have that time, and that sort of time is not necessary, especially when you're starting out. So I was at my mum's this morning. I spent about 45 minutes.
Oh.
But it can even be shorter. When you're first starting out, you can do a 20-minute morning practice a couple of times a week. And so you start off slow when you like build up to, and then because you really want to do it, it slowly, you're building momentum, and how it makes you feel is so great. You feel so high with the vibration, and and the capacity to be able, for me, I've had such a, it's helped me to feel more aware. And they say that Kundalini yoga, it is the yoga of awareness, so that it does help you to be more conscious and aware of those triggers, that you're not so identified with the triggers, so that there's more space, so there's more forgiveness. You have a greater capacity to identify with who you really are, rather than the changing weather patterns.
Will you be open to do about a 5-minute warm up of that, or 10-minute? What version do you want? 5 or 10?
Yeah, we could practice something today. Yeah, definitely. We could do a little kriya. So there's thousands of different kriyas in Kundalini yoga, and there's kriyas for all sorts of different ailments and conditions. And there's kriyas for depression, there's kriyas for anxiety, there's kriyas, these sets of postures that help you to balance your nervous system. There's kriyas to support you to reduce disease resistance. Particular kriya that I'm feeling into now is it's a particular kriya to support you to let go of imagined fears
Mm.
and imagined stories, imagined old patterns that are not working for you in your life.
Okay.
So when practice regularly, Kundalini yoga, it's like a healthy vitamin. You need to take it regularly to have an effect. You just can't practice Kundalini yoga once a week and think you're going to, it's going to help you always. It needs to be practiced fairly regularly, at least a few times a week.
Okay.
So we can have a little taste of it today, this particular Kriya, to support you to let go of imagined fears. Woohoo! Are you ready for this Kundalini activation? Are you going to do it with us, Aletha?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay. So as a light leader that you are, Aletha, as a soulpreneur, as a healer or change maker, I invite you to rise up with us. Anybody that's listening here, rise up. Yes, yes, yes to that. Let go of your imagined fears and self-doubts. Let go of feeling scared to be seen and to get visible. Now is the time to trust yourself, to trust your inner wisdom, to go forth and share your amazing gifts with the world, your offerings. So the first part of there's 3 postures to this Kriya. And the first posture is elbows in at your sides. You can stay seated. It's absolutely fine, or you can stand. If you're sitting down, make sure your feet are flat on the floor and your back is straight, shoulders are down and relaxed. Palms are facing out. Inhale here, and as you exhale, make fists with your hands and then turn your hands inward. So this is it's a constant movement with your hands like this. Yeah. Okay, so you keep going. So it's in time with quite a dynamic breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, palms out, exhale, twist your hands towards you, make fists, and keep going. It can be in and out of your nose, preferably the breath, and just keep moving. That's it. Keep your elbows in at your sides. So this, woo, you're gonna keep going with it. So the usual time is 3 minutes per posture, but we won't stay here that long, I promise, but we will be here for a minute or so. And stay with the breath. We want to get the energy moving. We're really working in to strengthen the nervous system, as well as engage the glandular system. Your glands are your guardians of your health. Woohoo, keep going. Stay with your breath. Keep going with the movement. This is the Kriya to let go of those imagined fears, those self-doubts, all those stories, those old patterns that you may tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you're not okay, that who will like my offerings. You can let those go now. The energy of the planet at this stage, the frequency is here to support you to rise into the truth of who you really are. Woo! Keep going. And then last one, inhale, make fists with the hands, and then squeeze every single muscle in your body. Hold the breath. And then exhale, release your hands and just relax your hands down for a little bit. Just move your body. We just take a little pause in between the postures. Now, if you're having a little yawn, that's great, because the nervous system is engaging to support you, to balance your mood, for good mental health. Second posture, elbows in at the sides of your body. And this time, just move back a little here. This time you're going to move your hands out straight in front of you. So it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, just one at a time with your arms, making sure that your elbow is straight and your arms come and your hands come straight out in front of you here. So it's not like this, it's keep the integrity of the posture, arms straight out in front, and find a rhythm with your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Keep going. And if you can, your elbows aren't going to hit anything behind you, see if you can draw your elbows back as far as you can each time you bend your elbow back and forth. Yeah. Okay. Get the energy moving. Keep going. Find your rhythm. Ooh. Yeah, we're stepping it on out. Step on out into the new earth frequency. Raise your vibration, and then you raise the collective vibration. Whew, that's it. Keep moving. Keep going. Stay with your breath. Woo! Feel that. Feel that in your arms. Keep your feet flat on the floor to stay grounded. Stay in your body. Yeah, that's it. Whoa. Beautiful. Letting go of those imagined fears. Stepping into the truth of who you are. And then last one, elbows in at your sides, and then squeeze every single muscle in your body. Inhale, pause the breath, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Squeeze. Woo! And then exhale, release, and then
big yawn.
And then just a little pause in between the postures. We've got one more postures to go. Oh, starting to feel it. Heart rate sort of elevating a bit here. Okay, elbows in at the sides of your body. And this time you're just curling your hands in like little cups. And you'll be raising your arms up and then just flicking your arms above your crown and behind your head. So I would like you to imagine that you're in India on the edge, you're sitting on the edge of the holy river Ganga in India, and you're scooping up the beautiful holy water of this ancient river, and you're flicking it over the front of your body, your face, your head, and then just clearing, purifying, and like cleansing your whole chakra system, your energy, and just keep scooping that beautiful holy Ganga water up over your body, splashing your face with that water. Oh, clearing that old fear, that old energy. Keep going. Clearing those old patterns. Woo. And keep going with this movement. Yeah, working up a little sweat. Getting the energy moving. Whoa. That's a dynamic movement. Keep going. Letting go of those imagined fears, those old patterns. Stepping into who you really are in truth. Light leader, way shower, change maker and healer. Keep going. Woo! Yeah. Whoa. Stay with it just a little longer. Find the rhythm with your breath. And then last one, and then inhale. Pause the breath, squeeze every single muscle in your body. And then this time, stick your tongue out. And then inhale again. Squeeze every single muscle in your body. Stick your tongue out with a lovely noise, lovely sound. Last one, inhale. Pause the breath, squeeze every single muscle in your body and stick your tongue out, activating the thyroid gland. Let's hear you. Inhale, exhale, and just taking a few moments, just invite you to just let the energy settle, relax your mind, come into your body, and just close your eyes for a few moments. Breathe. Feel that feeling in your body. That cleansing softness that comes in after you do something rather dynamic and intense. The softness, that feeling, that resting feeling that comes through as you relax, settle your energy. Beautiful, everyone. Well done. Well done, Aletha. Well done.
Beautiful.
And when you're ready, just open your eyes and you just might like to just shake it on out a little. That's it. Woohoo.
That was beautiful.
That was great. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to try it out.
Thank you. I noticed, you were going real fast and doing that with the breath for me, I just was not at your level. So as you encourage, I just became in pattern, in rhythm with my own breath and my own pace. And so that was beautiful. And I definitely felt, I became aware of the discomfort of the repetition, some discomfort in certain areas of my body. And so my mind then focused on that awareness and trying to find softness in continuing the practice, but finding softness around the discomfort, or trying to allow the discomfort to release. Like in my shoulder, I felt that discomfort of the repetition.
It's holding space for yourself, like any sort of intense sort of practice. It invites you to hold space for yourself in that practice, whatever sort of yoga you may like to be in or exercise that you may like to use, to hold that space with discernment around if there's any old injuries or feeling uncomfortable, where you use your own discernment to see what may work with the movement, at the same time taking yourself to a growth edge within the practice.
So I love it. We're going to shift to that about mindset and how we can shift and grow our practice. And whether we choose Kundalini as one of our practice, it is a choice. But with the mindset, you talked about growth, and the growth again goes back to that inner feeling of connection to sky and the shift of the waves that shows up in your environment. So what are some ways do you practice the awareness?
So it's like I become like a mind watcher. I watch my mind, for example, for me, my biggest triggers are being around family, and I think that can be for a lot of us. And I will watch my mind come up with the triggers, like say I'm with my mum and she's going into her old stories and her old patterns around everything that I feel quite uncomfortable around. She has her ideas and I have mine. She watches news, probably mainstream news, about 8 hours a day, either listens to it on the radio, watches it on the TV. And I just, it's like I can hold space for that. So how I keep my vibration high, by seeing that, okay, instead of me going into a usual reaction and correcting her, trying to make out that she's wrong and that I'm right and that there's another way to be, there's an acceptance, that, so there's a mindset of I can just accept her, that she's exactly where she's supposed to be on her soul level of her journey, of her awakening. If she was to be any different, she would be, but she's not. She's exactly where she's supposed to be on her soul's journey. And then I can then take a step back and just relax, because it's okay for her to be that way. And if I'm triggered, well, that's my responsibility. That's my responsibility to then, at that moment, to ask, practice a lesson in the Course in Miracles I might do, or I may, Ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, is so aligned with the Course in Miracles. I'll often use that prayer to recognize that actually there's some pattern in me that's created out there.
Right.
So Spirit, please heal this old pattern or old contract in me that is triggered by what is going on out there.
Right.
And then when my mindset changes, when my attitude changes to one of just allowing things to be they are and not needing to correct or change, that then things change. I feel more peaceful. And my mother seemingly changes as well, because she's a reflection of my energy. She's a reflection of my mind.
Right. So we, you talked of the way you make that sound. It's the mirror, because we have mirrored neurons in our head.
Yes.
And our brain looks for patterns. So we start to act like what we see. But if we are at a vibration that's higher than the other person, the other person's vibration has to come up to yours. So you have to make a choice. Become mindful and aware that something's activating an old storyline that no longer serves you, and staying at your vibration. And eventually they have to come in attunement or resonance with your vibration. So that is a beautiful analogy of how to when we as healers stay in our vibration, others start healing because they start coming up in vibration. That increased vibration shifts something else in their bodies, in their minds and souls. Yeah. So I absolutely love that. What do you do for self-care?
Well, I have my Kundalini yoga practice every morning.
Oof. That's a challenge. That is going to be a challenge. I'm going to try to do a Kundalini challenge when I move. I have give me a couple of months. So for the month of, what month is this? April, May? For the month of June, we should do a challenge. So Jaya, what do you do for self-care?
Wow. I have my Kundalini yoga practice every morning. Yes. So I am an absolute advocate of some sort of daily morning practice. It could be anything from Kundalini yoga to another style of yoga, to meditation, to walking in the bush, to journaling, anything that raises your vibration as soon as you wake up in the morning. Yes to that.
Well, I absolutely love that, because I would love to challenge myself to accept one of your 7 days of Kundalini, where, since you're in Australia, it would be a time difference. So I'll be doing it in the evening, but at least I'll be doing it for 7 days. So I want you to hold me accountable in 2 months. So in June, for a 7-day challenge. And we would love to have anybody else who's watching to participate in this, because it will be via Zoom. And if you are interested, we're going to put up the event online, and you guys just sign up for it and let us know what you think, because the practice is so beautiful. All right.
Yeah. We could do something with that. Totally. I've offered many free introductions to spiritual practice, and people can then come and check it out.
Yeah.
All available online, of course.
Yeah.
That people can come and check out the free introduction, and to see if it's in the flow, and see if it's something that they would like to continue every day for 7 days is a good start, or even to start off with 20-minute practice 3 days a week is even an option as well.
Do you have like a 5 or 10-minute version that a beginner can start? Say, okay, I'm going to do it for 3 days this week, but just for 10 minutes. So we learn, this is what I do when I teach meditation. I give them a 5-minute version. Week 1, week 2, they go up to 10 minutes. Week 3, they go up to 15 minutes. So you're slowly building up. Do you have a program like that, video that you can say, okay, follow this video for the next 3 days, this week 1?
Yes. Yeah,
awesome.
Totally. Yeah.
So what else do you provide in service, Jaya?
Pardon?
What else do you provide in service for your as a light leader?
Well, if you want, you could come to a free weekly Kundalini activation that I have for 30 minutes once a week. If you're in the States, it'll be on a Tuesday afternoon around 4 p.m. If you're in Australia, it's 9 a.m. Wednesday mornings, and that's in my Facebook group. So if you were to go over to High Vibration Sisterhood, starting it off with a group of women at this stage, may extend it to men in the future as well. But at this stage, High Vibration Sisterhood, you can get access to I do a free live Kundalini activation every week. So come and check that out. The other way you can get in touch with me is to go to my website, jayajones.com. I offer introductory healings and through Kundalini yoga and another mindfulness practice, so that you can let go of some of those imagined fears and self-doubts, and trust yourself and feel the confidence to share your amazing wisdom and offerings with your community.
I love that. So that's beautiful. So we are going to post that information right below for you guys, so that you can be in touch with Jaya. Jaya, thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful interview. We didn't even dive into mindset and limiting beliefs and how we can connect with what we do for spirituality. So that means that you're coming back. But
let's get on again someday soon, sister. I'd love to.
This has been so beautiful. If you were to leave one message to the world right now, Jaya, what would it be?
Make decisions with your body. And if you're a woman, it would be your womb space. For generally, your navel center. Your navel center is your womb space. So relax your mind, come into your body, stay centered, stay grounded, and start energetically making decisions, feeling into your responses from your belly, from your gut, from your sacral.
Beautiful. So we talked about what the new earth means. We talked about vibration. We talked about how important it is for us to become aware of our vibrations. We did an example of Kundalini yoga and what it is. We talked about the basics of that. And then we are ending with some mindful examples of what we as leaders do for mindfulness and self-care. And we ended with the point of contact for Jaya. And then this beautiful last message that is just so beautiful that I want to leave it at that. So again, guys, thank you so much for listening and participating in the Conscious Mindset Talks that we have every month. And every week we'll be producing introducing another light leader that is just in alignment with helping the new earth be what it needs to be. So thank you, Jaya, very much.
Thank you. Lots of love.